Welcome to UGC program E-Pathashala, module number 20, that's opening of Japan. Opening of Japan, we mean from isolation of Japan from rest of the world for all purposes of contacts to opening of Japan to establish contacts and thereby to take Japan towards a course of modern development. It was Commodore Matthew Perry on behalf of President of United States then, he entered Tokyo Bay and forced Japan to sign a commercial treaty for purpose of trading between Japan and United States. However, Japan was resisting greatly since it had happened to close the country for all contacts for more than 200 years. The event of opening up of Japan for contact with the Western world began with the arrival of Perry, Commodore Matthew Perry, in the year 1852 at Tokyo Bay, and the treaty that was subsequently concluded in the following year actually happened to bring Japan to world contact, and this event has had a far-reaching impact on Japanese history thereafter, and it was actually called Treaty of Kanagawa, signed in Shimoda, which happens to be in the present day prefecture of Shizuoka. And this has had a far-reaching impact because there were socially, politically, economically lot of confusion within the society, as it happened to be feudal society. Opening of Japan helped transformation of Japan from feudal society to the modern industrial economy and an international power. The period of isolation that Japan had was actually from the year 1602 to 1852. That is clearly 250 years. That was a period of local peace, prosperity, but with no foreign contact at all of any type, except in near Nagasaki there was a small port called Dejima, where Portuguese, Spain and Holland, that is Dutch, they were present in small number, and they were helping Japan import some of the most important critical aspects and products from overseas. And this foreign presence in Dejima Island in Kyushu near Nagasaki was actually one trading community, and they were meeting the requirements of import products to Japan. But for this small presence of Christian overseas population in Dejima, it was only for Japanese nation and Japanese people and for Japanese race. There was no other trace of foreigners being present. The presence of small number of Christian, however numbering about 1500 or so in Dejima, was not in itself limiting its publicity or in its peace message within Japan there only. Actually, it was gradually spreading to rest of the Kyushu area and then into the mainland Japan. And this influence actually wanted to be checked by the local daimyos, who were actually the provincial heads within smaller areas. There were nearly 200 plus daimyos who were actually Han, smaller province, they were the heads there. And other opposite side of the administration was called Bakufu, that was the central authority of Japan those days. Selectively, Japanese leadership selected few representatives from Japan to tour the world and learn some of the greatest knowledge regarding education, agriculture, industry, other technology, and then return to Japan and help Japan pick up modernization process gradually. The period of isolation in English, in Japanese is referred to as Sakoku period, 250 years of long isolation, within which it is only the Japanese culture and small scale of economy that was primarily depending upon agriculture was prospering actually. There were, however, great advancement that Japanese have done within the society for its all-round development, even of culture, during that period of isolation of 200 plus years, specifically from 1602 to 1852. As earlier said, arrival of Matthew Perry made a watershed period in Japanese modern history, and it was year 1852 and it was year 1853. Actually, there was a year gap between the request for opening of Japan and actually signing of the treaty. And during this 1 year period, actually Matthew Perry withdrew in the first instance of his arrival in Tokyo Bay, saying that he would return next year with a larger force and he would even attack and force the Japanese to sign the treaty if Japanese readily do not volunteer to sign the treaty. However, Japanese government at that time, both at Baku and at the Han level, met in Shimoda itself in a large temple called Ryosenji, and thereby they decided finally to conclude the commercial treaty with the US, so that they are brought into contact with the modern world. However, in this process of conclusion of treaty, subsequently in interaction with the Western power to help Japan modernize, actually some of the few clans of many clans were very active, and they had their greater contribution done to Japanese modernization. The reason why US was insisting to sign a commercial treaty with Japan was in order to have a presence in the Asian side of the Pacific, especially to counter the force of China as a major empire and major trading center within the Asian countries. And there were also other European powers extracting from China certain commercial interest. In order to counter that, America wanted to have an ally within Asia Pacific side. That's why they found Japan as one of the most important ally. And since then, US and Japanese have been involved in this trading business for a long time. Americans were gradually came aware of as to what was happening in terms of disturbance between different provincial leaders. There were very few families which we usually refer to as Satcho Dohi, that is Satsuma, and then Tosa, Hizen, and Chosu. These were the four families which were actually helping the transition of Japan from feudal to modern, that is actually bringing in the authority in the name of the emperor, and this is called the transition period, and this is also called Meiji Restoration, which will be which you students will be learning more in other modules rather than within this. Here we concentrate mostly on the transition period when opening of Japan was actually the major event. As in any other country, so in Japan also, decision to open up the country for Western contract did not come so easily. There were too many factions, there were too many divisions within the clans, some favoring opening, some were not favoring the opening, and therefore the debate actually carried on for a long time in the Ryosenji Assembly Hall. And finally, when the decision came, some of them preferred even shifting their loyalty from one daimyo lord to other daimyo lord, and an alliance finally came about between Satsuma and Choshu, and that alliance actually helped bring the clique into favorable side, so that a decision was taken very easily without any blood revolution to have Japan transformed and authority restored to the emperor, and conclusion of the treaty done. As it was mentioned that foreigners were called actually barbarians, and even small presence of foreigners, especially Dutch, Spain and French in Dejima Island, many of the Japanese who were opposed to the foreign entry or foreign contact, they were branding the presence of the foreigners as barbarians, and they needed to be exploded. Therefore, expel the barbarians became one of the most prominent slogan of the period. Second time actually when Matthew Perry arrived, that was the fertile time for conclusion of the treaty. Treaty of Kanagawa was signed in Shimoda place. Shimoda is a city located in Shizuoka Prefecture. Ryosenji was the temple where the discussion happened, and with the outcome of the treaty between US and Japanese, decision major were taken to open up the ports, one at Hakodate, which is actually located in Hokkaido Island, northernmost of the main Japanese archipelago, and another one was to open the Tokyo Bay, that is Kanagawa, Yokohama port in Kanagawa Prefecture also opened. With these two ports majorly opening for Western contacts, under the contract there was also a provision US to request Japanese to help them refuel their ships in the Asia Pacific purposes when they were moving around there, and especially in the Japanese two ports, refueling of Japanese ships were allowed under the treaty. Whenever either by US or by others actually goods were imported to Japan, there is a provision of allowing an import tax or import duty on the products imported for Japanese consumption. However, as a favor to the US, Japanese have decided to levy a low rate of tax on the imported goods. This actually helped even Japanese imported goods into Japan to be sold at a lesser price, and that was the time when actually Japanese society was not very affluent to afford to pay higher prices. Therefore, reduction of import duty came quite handy, and that helped the foreign goods to go very popular within Japanese domestic market. However, these treaties were not very equal in the sense that US had an upper hand and Japanese actually on rather losing side. This kind of an unequal commercial treaty that was first signed with US gradually came to be known around the world, and Britishers, Russians and even Dutch, they were forcing Japanese to sign similar treaty with them also for helping them to get traded with the Japanese, and Japan thus became quite familiar with these European countries in terms of trade, and contacts were opened with the West. There were certain social and political administrative trouble too within the society, because there were two kinds of system. One, the central authority existing with the shogun, and other one, in the name of the emperor, the actual administration was carried out. However, at the larger local level, it was the provincial leaders who were called in Japanese daimyos who were making the administration, basically collecting the tax, maintaining law and order, and also raising some forces to pledge for the central authority whenever the need be, or even to use to quell the disturbances that would be happening in and around other provinces. It is the size of the provinces, and it is also number of other smaller leaders who pledged their loyalty to a daimyo leader that expressed his influence. Each of the clans were trying to become most influential by extending territory or by getting the neighbor daimyos, provincial leaders loyalty to them. That is how there were very few clans which were most powerful. However, the restoration, pro-restoration authorities, pro-restoration clans, they had a slogan called Sunno Joy, that is revere the emperor, and this became quite a campaigning. However, against this also there was a hate campaign going on against the foreigners, that is saying that foreigners were barbarians, therefore we need to expel them, and this slogan too became quite popular. However, this hate campaign ended gradually with restoration of authority to the emperor. Whenever we refer to Meiji Restoration, we prefer to call it restoration only. Restoration of authority that was not with the emperor till then, now returning that authority to the emperor. But however, here major problem is there are many references, many books wherein you students would find Meiji Revolution. It is not a revolution in the sense that that was happening elsewhere in Europe with bloodshed. This is also to be called bloodless revolution. In that a process, we can also feel there were some casualties, there were some disturbances, there were some minor fights of that period. Especially in 1861, for example, there were nearly 23 casualties that occurred in such disturbances. So, however, including this 23 casualties, we cannot still take it as a major casualty that happen usually during revolution, and therefore we still prefer to call, and we recommend that students please call this Meiji Restoration and not Meiji Revolution. In case you call it Meiji Revolution, please prefix it is Meiji Bloodless Revolution. As mentioned earlier, in any such national scale restoration of authority to emperor, always there happen to be few influential leaders, and here in case of Meiji Restoration, we can easily identify Sacho Johi, that is Satsuma, Choshu, Tosa and Hizen. These four families were supposed to have been quite influential. They were the ones who were taking leadership in restoring the authority to the emperor, and they always favored that restoration movement, and thereby gradually if influential clan leaders were supporting that, and also they were the ones who were establishing independently friendly relations with Western powers, and this has virtually given these four clans, that is Sacho Johi, in taking the leadership, and gradually once Japan was opened, emperor's authority was restored, and these are the people who were greatly favored by huge officers, especially most of the former daimyos have become, and former influential shoguns also had become governors of the newly redrawn Japanese political map, that is into prefectures. Prefectural governors were only the former leaders of either daimyo or some of the bakufu system of administration. And here we can clearly see these Satsuma, Choshu, Hizen and Tosa families cornering major prefectural governors' positions to re-establish their authority and influence in political terms. 3rd January 1868 is considered to be most eventful period in Japanese modern history because that was the day when Matsuhito, a mere 15-year-old boy, was named as Japanese emperor and thereby retitled emperor's title as Meiji, and Meiji period is the one that spread from 1868 with the installation of Meiji emperor that went up to 1912 actually. This is the period which has witnessed Japanese modernization, modernization of army, modernization of education, modernization of industry, modernization of total economy, and installation of newer banks, national banks. 4 national banks were established. Central Bank of Japan was established, that is actually Bank of Japan, and with this actually Meiji restoration had a great influence on Japan thereafter till today. Modern Japan, when we meant from feudal Japan to westernized modernization style and urbanization, industrialization of Japan. All this started happening from 1868, that is the beginning of the Meiji period, and nearly completed by 1912 when Meiji period was ended. And in between happened great many things, that Japan modernized its army and also had a standing military. Military service was compulsory. There was a military conscription in place. All the able-bodied men between 18 and 25 years had to compulsorily serve military minimum for 5 years, sometime expanding beyond 5 years. And that gave Japan virtually even access to modern weapons imported from the West. Besides this, even education was modernized. All the best knowledge, entire knowledge that's available in the world, Japan sought throughout the world, and that was brought in. Primary education, higher education, university education were all introduced. Even training for agricultural personnel, actually even bureaucracy and even parliamentarians, all had learned great deal of knowledge from West. Virtually, it was Europe that was the model for Japan to modernize, and not just this education, agriculture and industry. Even certain other engineering technologies were borrowed from Europe. Even constitution, for example, was borrowed from Prussia. It was Prussian model that was Japanese Meiji constitution, which has provided for Japanese parliament, that's now called Japanese Diet, which had bicameral legislation, one upper house and other one lower house. And it's here some of the former influential clans from the daimyo area were also about to form new political parties. Jiyuto was formed, there is Liberal Party. At the same time, Kaisento was formed. So political parties also came into. When parliamentary election became, and Japan followed a democracy, which is also again modeled on European side. So that politically, even in economic, industrial terms, it was modernized. However, modernization also led a great degree of urbanization. For example, even railway line that Japan never had seen. The first railway line is laid between Tokyo and Yokohama of about 28 to 30 miles range. First line was levied, and thereby gradually Japan had throughout the nation a good network of transportation, communication, postal and telecommunication. So modernization meant this. Some of the industries, especially like iron and steel, that is the basic industry which is necessary to produce heavy scale, high scale of steel, so that for construction purposes throughout the nation, for building and other purposes, building highways, building even bridges and building factories, their iron and steel was consumed. So in the modernization process of Japanese industry, here in iron and steel industry in particular, because Japan lacks any natural resources, even India was started exporting its iron ore to Japan. Thus, India also had a small share in the process of Japanese modernization of industry. To put in summary as to what all that happened as major events during opening of Japan is that Japan became an open economy, open system, open political system. That is, Japan with opening for all Western contacts made Europe as one of the most important model for its own development. However, it was pressured by Matthew Commodore Perry in 1852 that helped Japan open itself for all foreign contacts, especially for commercial purposes. And gradually, when Japan set on a course of modernization, military modernization, educational modernization, economic modernization, industrial modernization, technological upgradation, all these given together virtually lifted Japanese prospects into the next century. That was from 19th to 20th century. When we see such a modern, huge navy established, military established, Japan wanted to try its strength. Therefore, it first declared war against China and defeated China in the year 1895. The war went on, although from 1894 to 95, it was 95 April when through Shimonoseki Peace Treaty, through Shimonoseki Peace Treaty in the April of 1895, China-Japanese war was concluded. In 1902, they signed a alliance with Britain, and in 1910 they occupied Korea. But however, in between, in 1904 and 5, they had war against Russia. So all this was possible just because of Japanese decision to open their country for Western contact and decision to proceed on the course of modernization. I think the impact of opening of Japan, impact of Meiji Restoration goes on to prove Japanese rise and re-rise in spite of defeat in World War II as a modern, as a industrially, technologically advanced society. Thus, importance of opening of Japan and Meiji Restoration cannot be underestimated in the modern history of Japan. Thank you.